We live in a very fast-paced world. There are all sorts of stress that are impacting all of us and interfering with our sense of satisfaction in life, our productivity. Even the relationships we have suffer greatly from too much stress. What we want to do in this integrative mindfulness practice is introduce you to a very powerful yet simple approach to coping more effectively with stress, as well as minimizing or eliminating some of the stress that we create and that we can control. As we get into the practice, there are several words that you will hear. Mindfulness is one of them, meditation, and resilience. To give you an idea of how it works, I'd like you to have the image of your stressful life, the things that create turmoil at times, the ongoing stressors that are fairly normal, and think of a great deal of the stress as though it were like a lake that is during a storm, where the waves are choppy, there are white caps, and life feels like that. So you're always on the edge, you're always going from one thing to another and feel like you can get overwhelmed easily, and you never really get ahead of the ball on this one. Meditation, as we're using it, is going to be our ability to calm down our busy minds that are racing with all this stress. We want to be able to calm them down, just like the storm on the lake. We start to see the waves coming down. We start to calm things down a bit. This allows us then to see more clearly. Mindfulness will come in here now because we have calmed down. We've lowered the stress a bit. We see more clearly. We can now start to work on mindfulness as that ability to respond to life's situations, the challenges, in a way that is more productive and efficient for us. And then we do that by meeting those situations with less judgment. We accept reality as it is and then respond to it in the most appropriate way that we can. Resiliency, to be resilient, means that we are now able to cope much better with stressful life situations. One, we're learning to create fewer of them, yet life does have many situations that can create stress. Now we're able, because we're able to calm down, we're able to be mindful, to meet things without judgment so we can stay more focused and objective. Resilient people now are those who can bounce back, which is one aspect of resiliency. The ability to bounce back is something we all know. When we've been sick as children, we bounce back from the illness. When we have an injury, we bounce back. An emotional upheaval, we bounce back. As we practice integrative mindfulness, we are able to do this more quickly and more fully. So we come back, we're healthier, we're more vibrant, we're able to live our lives to their fullest potential more easily. So there's the bounce back quality. Another aspect of resiliency is a sustained level of life energy. So often people who are very stressed out will have these peaks and values where the energy is hyper, it's really powerful, then it falls off and people feel exhausted and wiped out, and they swing back and forth. The more resilient we are from this practice, the more we are able to put forth a sustained level of energy. We can move up a little bit, we can move down, we know when to rest, we know how to rest and relax. Another aspect is one that's important for us in many different situations, and that is to be able to have that burst of energy, that large amount of energy to put forth when we need it. Most of us will think of this with athletes, where it's very clear sometimes that they really need this burst of energy if they're finishing a race, if they're running a touchdown, things of that nature where we need the energy. But for most of us in life, that will come when, if we're students, it's finals week. If we're at work, it may be a large project that needs sustained high-level energy. So those are three aspects of resiliency that are a result of our ability to calm our mind, the meditation, to be mindful, which means to stay in the present moment without judgment. That will result in us being a more resilient, vibrant, healthy individual. During the integrative mindfulness training and the practice we do, there are 4 preliminary elements that we will be going over, and these are the heart of the practice. They're awareness, presence, relaxed ease, and spaciousness. Now, the overall focus of the training is to get us to be able to live more in the present moment, the now. The practice reveals to you that when your mind wanders, when it goes into the past or into the future, you're distracted, and many times you are creating the stress that we all want to get away from. So the practice is one that we will do beginning with a sitting practice. Now then, as we go into the series, you are going to be invited to apply this practice in day-to-day life, in everything you do. The key is, once you realize that your mind, when it wanders, your busy ego mind, when it wanders, is the source of a good deal of your stress and anxiety, and that you can control where it goes, that you can bring it back to the present moment and reduce that stress, you're going to be motivated to apply this in all areas of life. Home life, work, in relationship to self, in sports, in anything you do. And the benefits will be there for you. The practice is intended to help us in our day-to-day life, to enrich our life. We're coping with things better. We're also using more of our human potential because we're not wasting a lot of our life energy in past, future thinking and all the stress and anxiety and distraction that creates. As we go into the practice, just a little bit of instruction. It's a very simple practice, yet it takes some time to get used to, like anything else when it's new to us. Sitting or laying down, you can assume almost any position. I'd recommend that you find a comfortable spot to sit with a chair that allows you to keep your back straight. You don't want it rigid, but you do want to be able to have your back straight so that you're going to be able to maximize your breathing. You want to be able to have your hands resting gently on your thighs in a way that you can feel you can maintain for 10 or 15 minutes, so you're not distracted by hand movements or you're getting uncomfortable and feel like you need to move around. If during the practice you get uncomfortable, see if you can just breathe through it. But if it persists, move to a position where you're more comfortable and able to continue the practice. As we go into the practice, you will find that many of the things we go through will start to feel very familiar to you in daily life because you are doing the practice to some extent. We all do. We all have moments when we're very present, very focused. What we're trying to do is bring that kind of presence, that kind of focus into more control so that we're not allowing our ego mind to take us into all the distracted past future thinking. We will begin the practice with one chime. Gently close your eyes. We do this to cut out all the visual stimulation that the ego mind likes to attach to. Envision turning your eyes inward and draw that awareness to the breath. Be aware of breathing in calmness and clarity. Be aware of breathing out stress, confusion. Each breath is slightly deeper and slightly longer than the previous one, yet nothing is forced. You're moving toward your own deep, natural breath. As the breath lengthens and deepens, envision on the in-breath every cell in your body taking in calmness and clarity, just as you take in oxygen. And envision on the out-breath every cell of your body releasing stress and confusion, just as we release CO2. The breath is a very helpful guide in this practice. It reminds us how natural it is. We take in what is healthy for us, what we need, and we release what is not healthy for us or we don't need. As the breaths have lengthened and deepened, you will move naturally into the second preliminary element of presence. You are present with these deep breaths to experience the rise and fall of the chest and the belly, the movement of air in and out of the nose. This is your direct experience of breathing. It's not a thought, it's not a concept, it's not a belief. Those won't keep you alive. It must be direct experience. And that occurs only in the present moment. The past is a memory. The future is a fantasy. It is only the present moment in which we are truly, fully alive. The breath, once again, reminds us of a very natural aspect of life. Live in the present moment. With these deep breaths, you will notice too that your mind will begin to wander. This is the ego taking your awareness out of the present moment into the past or into the future. Often in the past we have regrets, resentments, remorse. In the future, fears, insecurities, worries, doubts. When the mind wanders like this, just be aware of it, acknowledge it, then draw the awareness back to the breath, back to those nice, deep, full breaths. And envision awareness moving into the present moment. You might think of this analogous to the eye of a hurricane, that the winds of the hurricane are where ego will take our awareness. They can be very violent, dangerous. And yet, if we move back to the center, to the present moment, the eye of the hurricane, it's perfectly calm, it's peaceful. We're safe there. Keep going back to the deep breath and the present moment with whatever image you want, returning to the eye of the hurricane. And as you do that, you will have moved into the third element of relaxed ease. Because when you're in the present moment and you have stopped that past, future ego thinking that spins you into the winds of the hurricane, creating the stress and anxiety, you're safe. That inner eye of the hurricane is that place of calmness and clarity and potential. It's there in all of us. It's always there. It's not something you have to manufacture or achieve. It will reveal itself to you when you begin to stop the ego past future thinking and let your awareness float more in that inner eye of the hurricane, the present moment. Then you can relax. You're safe. And from that place of safety and clarity and full potential, you will start to see things differently in daily life. You will be able to make better decisions because you do see more clearly. And you're calmer. You're not so emotionally distraught, either outwardly very emotional or inwardly tight and controlled. You have a healthy sense of being able to respond to life situations. Resilient. You are resilient. So relax. With practice, you'll be able to relax very deeply.